What's up, Harry? Ty Crandall here with Credit Suite, and I am back after last week. I missed you all last week. My apology that I missed everybody last week. I actually ended up being stuck at the home office last week, and I don't have a whiteboard there, which I got to get a whiteboard there because like my office here is like surrounded by whiteboards. Like I have whiteboards on every wall because that's like how I decorate, except for one picture that my wife bought me for like my birthday, which is right there. But I don't have whiteboards at the house. So unfortunately, I missed you all last week, and I'm sorry about that. I missed you, and I wish I could have been here. But I'm here now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a shift. We're going to take a veer. Hey, what's up? Welcome. Thanks for the shout out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a veer today. We've been talking about business credit since inception here on Periscope. And today, hey, welcome. And today, hey, it's your first day on Periscope. Welcome, FGNMDDT. I don't know what that stands for, but welcome. So today, we're going to make a shift. I can't stay, but I got a $1,500 Tractor Supply. Nice job, Mark. I'm going to add that here to the list for you. I wish you could stay. Let me see, a Tractor Supply, $1,500. All right. All right, so for those of you just joining us, we have a few people on the scope that we track their business credit approvals. Congratulations, Mark. Appreciate that. And we put them right here on our board. So we track all the approvals they're getting, and we look at their reports in real time, those type of things as well. So today we're going to be talking about business loans, something we haven't done yet. So far, we've been talking a lot about business credit, and today we're going to be talking about business loans. We're going to talk about how you get approved for a business loan. Hello, Sandra, welcome. Regardless of, or how you can get a business loan even if you don't have good credit. We'll talk about options even if you don't have collateral. We'll talk about options even if you don't have cash flow yet, even if you're a startup, okay? So, hey, and I appreciate that, Sandra. Thank you very much for inviting people. Please feel free to invite everybody to the scope because all I believe in is giving you guys really good, detailed, quality information. So we've been talking about business credit, how to build credit for your EIN that's not linked to your SSN, the last, 10 scopes. Today we're taking a shift. We're going to be talking about business loans. I'm going to be telling you exactly how to get a business loan and 3 different ways you can get a business loan, even if your credit sucks, even if you don't have collateral, even if you don't have cash flow. This was the Financial Fridays team I invited. That's cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for inviting them. I'd love to have everybody on. Hey, Pretty Washington, what's up? You up in Washington State? Our COO, Megan, my counterpart, she lives up in Washington State, and I hear it's beautiful up there. Never been up there personally, and I know I need to be up there, so my bad. Hey, Credit Suite, hey, what's up? What's up, sis, happening? Welcome to the scope. So today we're going to be talking about business loans, how you get a business loan even when your bank says no, and I'm going to be going to the whiteboard, mapping this out for you, so by the end of the scope today, you'll know exactly how you can actually get approved for a business loan. I appreciate the shares, and I appreciate the love. It's awfully cool of you all. Thank you so much. So, different shift, right? This is where we've been on the whiteboard back here for a while. Now we're shifting to this whiteboard, which I still have half of it clear, but we've got a bunch of cool stuff to go over today. Okay, so here's the deal. When you go to apply for a loan, a lot of people still think you're going to go to your bank to get a loan. And that's unfortunately just not going to happen. And here's why. Look, I love the big banks. But the problem with the big banks is that they deal with conventional loans, which are backed by SBA. And SBA loans are very, very tough to qualify. So this basically works like this. A lot of people think that they're going to go right to SBA and they're going to get approved. And that's not how it works. SBA guarantees loans. So SBA, to get an SBA loan, you have to go through your big bank. As a matter of fact, if you go through a big bank for a loan, you're pretty much dealing with SBA guidelines. That's what you're pretty much dealing with is an SBA loan because the bank's only typically going to lend money if you meet the requirements of what SBA has. So that's the first problem is that with an SBA loan, and I'm trying to zoom in here because I'm going to show you this here in a second on the screen, make it bigger. With an SBA loan, you have to qualify with SBA and you have to qualify with your bank. That's the first problem. So you got to qualify with 2 different sources. You got to meet all SBA's requirements and you got to meet all your bank's requirements, which is part of the reason it's very tough to get approved for a bank loan. So if you think when you need money, you're going to go into your bank and get a loan, it's probably not going to happen. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how it can happen. A lot of people know they're not going to get approved for a loan at their bank. They don't even bother. They're like, I'm not going to get a business loan at my bank. I'm not even going to bother trying, and they don't even try. And that's not a bad idea. idea because the bank's typically not going to help you unless you've been in business 2 or 3 years. Again, thanks everybody for the shares and thanks for the hearts. It means a lot. I appreciate it. So I'm going to show you where to go, but let's start the scope by talking about where not to go. Where absolutely where you need to avoid where you're not going to get a loan. So let's dive in and show you exactly what. Okay, so what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at SBA's website. You can see here, this is SBA's website. You can see up there, sba.gov. And this basically goes through and just teaches you exactly what their underwriting requirements are. Gather the info you'll need. So here's all the requirements that you're going to need for a SBA loan. You're going to need a personal background screening, which they actually give you a document to fill out. They're basically looking to make sure that you don't have any felonies, any criminal convictions against you, those type of things. They're looking for a resume. They want to make sure you have extensive experience in the field that you're in. They want to make sure you have a business plan that maps out the conditions of the industry that you're in, et cetera, everything that you're going to do in the future, your plans, everything involved there. A personal credit report, okay, and it says, and this is important to note, and I'm going to show you something very important here, okay, inaccuracies and blemishes on your credit report can hurt your chances of getting a loan. The same with business credit, okay? You need to have anything that's inaccurate on your credit reports disputed before you even think about actually going in to get an SBA loan or to get a bank loan. They're going to need business and personal tax returns for 3 years. They're going to need financial statements, projected financial statements, P&L statements. They're going to need your personal and business bank statements. They're going to need collateral, usually equivalent to the loan amount that you actually are getting, the amount of loan you're getting. And they're going to also need some other things, your articles of incorporations, licenses, copies of any contracts you have or agreements with any third parties, franchises agreements, leases, and again, if you're buying, why you're applying for the loan, how you'll use the loan proceeds, what assets need to be purchased. Sandra, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. What other business debt you have. So you can see how much stuff is involved to get an SBA loan. This is what you have to have a conventional bank loan. It is ridiculous, right? Now, again, don't hold it against the big banks. The big banks are government insured. They have to be conservative with risk. The moral of the story here is don't think you're going to go to your bank and get a business loan. It's just not going to happen. You just saw what's required there, okay? They want everything. And keep in mind, they're not just asking for the stuff to get it. They're asking for it so they could deeply analyze it. So they're going to look at your personal and your business tax returns to make sure that they like what they see. They're going to make sure you have the collateral. They're going to look at all your leases and your articles of incorporation and all your financials and your business plan. All this is going to be heavily scrutinized. And if you pass the scrutiny, then you can get approved. But very few do. Statistically, about 89% of loan applications get denied at the big banks. And keep in mind, most people don't even have all the stuff. Most people don't even have it all. Most people don't even apply. Of the people that put all this stuff together, imagine this. Imagine all of this stuff to your bank. Personal background, resume, business plan mapped out. You probably don't even have one, right? So you have to create one. That could take you weeks or months in itself. You have to fix your personal business credit. You get that all solid. You get in your business for 3 years. Now you have good tax returns. Now you got to do projected financials and get all this filled out. You got to gather all your bank statements. You got to have the collateral and get all this stuff together. You got to answer all these questions. Imagine going through all of this knowing that 9 out of 10 times you're going to get denied. You have a 90% That's what happens. Most people don't go to their banks and apply, and when they do, 90%, statistically 89% get denied. So the bottom line is your bank is not the place to go for a loan unless you're a very seasoned, very well-established business. If you're a very seasoned business, if you have really good tax returns that show big revenue increases from year to year, that show profits at the end of each year, then that's a big deal. If you have all those type of things, then that's what it's going to take to qualify for a bank loan. Good financials, a really, really solid business. And guys, I have friends that have obtained SBA loans. They're not impossible to do. But these are people that are very well-established, money in the bank, lots of profits on tax returns. That's about what you have to do to get a bank loan. Banks just are not the place to go for loans. Okay, so that being said, let me tell you where to go to get a business loan. And I call this formula the 3 C's of lending. And I'm going to show you exactly what this means. So here's the deal. The good thing, the bad thing is that when the mortgage crisis happened, there was a lot of additional regulation like Dodd-Frank, and it made it harder for lenders, big banks, to lend money. So they tightened up, they restricted, it went down. Like SBA lent like millions, or like, I don't forget, it was like $100 million less than what they had the years before. So alternative lenders started hitting the scene. Like, these guys never even existed really or did much in the business space. Then they started hitting the scene. You're a mortgage loan officer. Awesome, Sandra. Are you residential or commercial? So all of a sudden, these alternative lenders started to hit the scene and offer all these alternative kind of financing. By alternative, quote unquote, I mean that these are loans that you can't get at a conventional bank. These are loans offered by I really need to speak with you. Email us. info@creditsuite.com is the best way to get to me. info@creditsuite.com. Sandra, cool. I did residential mortgages too. I owned a residential mortgage company, as a matter of fact. So cool. We're like brother and sister now. So anyways, as I was saying, the big banks basically became not the place to go, as if they ever were. Then all these alternative lenders start to pop up, and all of a sudden, now there's all kinds of loan options available. What these alternative lenders have figured out is, wait a minute, just because everybody doesn't have all this stuff that's needed from a bank like from SBA or the big banks, it doesn't mean they're not lendable. They're probably still low risk. So they started finding strengths to lend on. And what happens is, instead of SBA or big banks that require you to have all these financials because they want you to have good cash flow and profits, they need you to have good personal and business credit, which is why they ask for your personal business credit reports. They also require collateral, as we just saw. So they require all three: collateral, cash flow, and good credit to get approved. If you don't have those three, you cannot get an SBA loan. You cannot get a big conventional bank loan. You just simply cannot do it. So all these alternative lenders said, well, wait a minute. What if somebody just has one of the three? Are they lendable? And they started to lend people money based on one individual strength. And what they found was that people would pay back the majority of these loans. Even the highest risk merchant cash advances that exist still have very low default rates. So all of a sudden, these things started to spread like wildfire. And now we have tens of thousands of alternative lenders in the lending space. Where do you get our business credit report? You can pull from a bunch of different places. On these live feeds, we usually do it through Credit Safe or Experian, and you can go right to their website and pull the reports. On other sessions where we dive into business credit, we'll even pull your report here right on the live session. But today we're talking about business loans. So what happens is, these alternative lenders will lend you money based on a strength. What is your strength? That's what I call the 3 C's of lending. Now, the great news is, even if you don't have one of these, you can still get business credit. So I'm going to give you a way to get money regardless of your situation today. Is it safe to assume interest will be higher than norm? Yeah, interest is based on risk. There is no norm in business lending. You can get an SBA loan, and I can get an SBA loan, and we're going to pay different rates and terms because lending is based on risk, as Sandra will tell you in the mortgage world. And the consumer mortgage world, where Sandra resides, your credit score determines your rate. You know, the bottom line is, she looks at a rate sheet, and if your credit score is 520, you get this score. And if your credit score is 700, then you get this score, or you get this rate. So rates are always based on rate. That's what it comes down to, okay? So if you have low risk, you get low rates. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you some financing right now that's lower than conventional bank financing, that beats SBA financing, that's 1% and 2% interest rate. Why is the rate so low? Because the risk is low. And you can get 1%, 2% interest rate regardless of your personal credit. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. But the bottom line is, guys, is that risk is based on your rates based on risk. It's that simple. What you pay back on a loan is based on your risk. It's that way in anything. If you get a credit card and you have low credit scores, you're going to pay higher interest than somebody that has higher credit scores. If you get a home loan and you are lower risk because you have more money in the bank and higher scores, you get a better rate, and so on and so on. So all lending is based on rates are based on risk, consumer and commercial. So, but there's a way to get cheap rates. I'm going to show it to you. So the key here is, if you want a business loan, you have to have a strength. You don't need all the stuff that we just reviewed per SBA. You don't need it. You need it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have all that stuff and you have a solid business, tons of revenue, tons of profit, been in business many years, making $1 million plus, then go to your bank. Check with them first. They might have a great solution for you. But if you don't meet all these requirements on SBA's website, as many don't, and the page I was on was, that's too long to go, but I'll tell you how I got to it. I went to and searched SBA loan requirements, And then I went down here to the second one, gather the info you'll need, the U.S. Small Business Administration. And if you go there, you'll see that huge list that I just pulled up. So the key is that you have to have a strength to be lendable. If you don't worry. I'm going to talk about how to get business credit anyways, not a lot about it though. I worked at a bank. Business loans are extremely hard to get approved. Yes, Sandra knows this. As a matter of fact, I was at a live, I was invited to speak in Atlanta, and we had a Bank of America banker there, and she laughed when I asked how easy it was to get a business loan. And she said, you can't even do it unless you've been in business 3 years. That's why they want you to have 3 years tax returns, because they know that the majority of businesses that make it past 3 years have a fighting chance for survival. If you're less than 3 years in business, you have a high risk of closing shop, and that's why they won't even consider lending to you. But alternative lenders will. I'm even going to show you how to get money today up to 150 grand as a startup using this 3 C's formula, okay? And I need a fancier name for it than 3 C's formula. You can let me know when we go through it what a better name may be. So, Sandra, what areas do you work for mortgage? Chandra will reply to that. Obviously, not me. You're not asking me. So here we go. Let's get to the whiteboard. The 3 C's of lending formula, okay? And what this ultimately comes down to, and hopefully I didn't just lose my because I just did something and all of a sudden I pulled up my views and then I lost. Oh, cool. Didn't know I could do that. Huh. Okay, so the 3 C's of lending formula has to do with the fact that you have a strength that makes you lendable, okay? And here you go. And Christine, all states, there you go. Contractor bio, and there's her info, which is awesome. Okay, so 3 different C's: cash flow, credit, collateral. If you have one, you become lendable. If you don't have one, you are not. You can still get business credit. We'll talk about it. I call it the 3 C's because there's 3 C's, right? Cash flow, credit, and collateral. Let's talk about all these. So the first way to get financing is if you have cash flow. So there's 2 different main ways you're going to deal with here. One is revenue lending, okay? And revenue lending, and just so you know, Christine's on with us, and she is somebody that's had a lot of success with business credit. She's got over 118,000 here in business credit approval. So even if you can't get a loan, I'll talk to you real briefly about how Christine still was able to get 118,000 regardless of what I'm talking about here with the loans. So cash flow, first C. If you have revenue of $10,000 a month in deposits or more and been in business 1 year or more, you can get up to $500,000 in financing. With this, all they're going to do is they're going to, if you manage your bank account responsibly, you have positive balances at the end of each month, okay? You don't have a bunch of non-sufficient funds. You don't have a bunch of overdrafts. And you have, like, let's say more than 5 deposits in your bank account every month, then you can qualify for cash flow financing. You do not need collateral, and they won't even pull your personal credit in a lot of cases. So you can have a 350 credit score and still get approved, because in a lot of cases, if you have good bank account management, they won't even pull your personal credit. So this is called cash flow financing, and it's very, very, very fast to obtain. You can get it in about 24 to 72 hours. Best Buy was a 40,000 approval because so Christine, actually, we just added one to the board for Christine. Now it's not 118,000. Now it's 158 because Best Buy was a question mark, and she said she just got approved for 40,000 for Best Buy. So we'll talk about that in a second, although we're not going to talk a lot about business credit on scope. So that now puts Christine's business credit approvals past almost to 150 grand, 148,000. Somebody's asking Best Buy. That's a place where you buy all kinds of electronics here in the States. We got people from all over the world with us. So that being said, no, I wouldn't say that I smell nice. I don't know. That wouldn't be a question for me. But what a ridiculous question to ask when you're trying to get good information. So the bottom line is that if you have $10,000 a month in deposits, 1 year in business, you can get approved in 24 to 72 hours. We funded multiple people where they needed money for payroll in 24 hours and got money. No personal credit check, no collateral. All you need is consistent revenue. If you're not there yet, keep this in mind, because as you build the business and get to $10,000 a month in revenue, then that gives you an opportunity to actually come in and qualify for revenue financing, okay? So that being said, I got to figure out, I gotta have to figure out how to block people on here. Oh, that'd be cool to block. Perfect. Gone. That was awesome. First user I've ever blocked on Periscope. Boom. So you need $10,000 a month every month. Yes, you need that for about 3 months. So if you have $10,000 a month for, they're going to look at the last 6 months bank statements. Okay, so for about the last 3 months, if you have at least $10,000 a month for 3 to 6 months, you can qualify for revenue financing. If you don't worry about it. You can still have a chance of getting approved once you build your revenue up. And I'm going to talk about some other options for you as well. Based on your cash flow is, do you have good personal credit and tax returns? If you do, you can get all kind of private money loans and alternative SBA loans. So both of these are based on revenue. Revenue lending has no credit score requirements, and alternative SBA, you can get 50,000 or more, even million plus, if you have good personal credit and tax. For this other option, they're going to want to see tax returns that show a profit. That's the key number one. You have to show some kind of profit at the end of the year, and you need to have good personal credit. We had somebody the other day get $150,000 in an alternative SBA loan. These are 2, 3, 4, 5-year loans in a lot of cases, whereas cash flow financing is typically 3 to 18 months. We've seen them as long as 3 years. And on alternative SBA loans, they can go 2, 5 years or even longer. What's good credit versus great credit scores? Well, good credit scores for alternative SBA loan, they want 700 plus. On anything I mentioned that is being good credit or great credit, they want a 700 plus score. So with alternative SBA loans, long-term, low-rate financing, 8 to 10% typically on average, you can get approved with tax returns that show a profit, even 1 year's tax returns that show a profit, and good personal credit. If you don't have that, you could still qualify for revenue lending, which has no credit score requirements, no collateral requirements. All they're going to do is do a quick review of your bank statements. Now, in the scopes that follow over the next few weeks, I'm going to spend more time on these, talk about all different kinds of details with these, but the purpose of this scope is to at least give you an overview of what it takes to qualify. Now we know cash flow, the first C. 3 C's, cash flow. First one, do you have revenue of $10,000 a month or more? Do you have 1 year in business? Now, if you don't have one of these, let's say you have, 2 years in business, but only $9,000 in revenue. If you have a compensating factor like longer time in business or better bank account management, they'll sometimes overlook one of these. So if you don't have $10,000 a month in deposits or you don't have 1 year in business yet, that's okay. You still might be able to get approved if you have a compensating factor. So let's say you have high positive ending balances on your bank account at the end of each month. Well, then that might overcome the fact that you only have $9,000 in revenue or 9 or 10 months in business, okay? So there is a way to overcome that. But the first C, the first way to get money, alternative way, when a bank won't give you financing, is to go through an alternative lender, which you can do, again, using cash flow at revenue lending. Now, if you think you can get approved, based on anything I'm telling you here, you can go to do 2 things. You can go to our main page here, creditsuite.com consult, and you can schedule a consult and we'll go over your approval requirements, or go to creditsuite.com get funding, all 2 words put together with no dash, get funding, and that's another way you can immediately get approved based on what I'm saying here to you today. So the first C, cash flow, do you have cash flow of $10,000 a month or more in 1 year in business? The second C is, do you have good personal credit or a guarantor that does have good personal credit? So let's say your credit isn't 700, but you have a friend, you have a family member, you have somebody in your business that likes your business concept and wants to invest in your business, then in that case, you can qualify for unsecured credit-based financing. You can get 0% rates for 6 to 18 months and get up to $150,000 in unsecured financing. You can do it as a startup and it's no doc. So with credit-based financing, you do not need tax returns. You do not need bank statements. You do not need collateral. All you need is good personal credit or a guarantor that does have good personal credit. That about 25% of the clients we deal with don't have good personal credit, but have a guarantor that does. And you might be saying, look, I don't want to lean on my mom or my brother or my friend or my whatever to be able to qualify. Why not? If you have a great business idea, then maybe you should run it by them. And if they go, dude, that's awesome, I want to be part of that, and you say, you can be part of that. Because right now, I don't think I'm brilliant, but I appreciate the compliment. Because you could say right now, I don't have the money I need to get this thing off the ground. You have great credit. I can get up to $150,000 in unsecured financing using your credit to qualify. Here's the best part. This credit doesn't even report on the consumer credit reports or when it reports on the business credit reports. So it doesn't even report on the consumer credit reports. What are some of the advantages for the guarantor? Well, really, the only advantage is for you to determine. Meaning, for example, if it were me personally going this route and I went to my friend and said, look, here's the deal. And I'll give you an idea. One of my good friends, his name is Preston, right? So if I go to Preston and go, dude, look, I got this killer idea. Here's what it is. Here's why I think it's going to work. And he goes, that's awesome. I want to be part of that. I'll say, look, here's the deal. I'll run the thing. I'll do it all. I'll give you 10% ownership of the company, 10% of the returns, but I need you for startup capital. I don't want to put money into this. You don't have to. Let me use your credit to be a guarantor. It's only going to come back on you if I default, and we can have safeguards in place to make sure I don't default. And in doing so, this credit all reports to the business credit reporting agency, so it won't even adversely affect your consumer credit reports. You get up to 150 grand using your credit or that of a guarantor, okay? And in return, you then have the ability to come in and get up to 150,000 in unsecured credit, build the business credit for the company, and you've got something that won't affect you or the guarantor's personal credit. Pretty cool. Plus, you don't need collateral and cash flow doesn't matter. So even as a startup, you can get up to 150 grand. Okay, one of my personal friends, we just got her 80,000 bucks. She again didn't have personal credit. So what happened was that she used somebody that she was getting in business with, his credit. He did have good credit, and we got him about 80,000 in unsecured credit. Okay, is there some type of contract involved? There's not. The guarantor's on the hook in case you default. So they might want you to sign some kind of agreement to put you on the hook, but they're on the hook if you default. It won't report on their personal credit unless you default, and then it can. So it only works if you're going to actually do what you say you're going to do. Okay, so again, you need to do your part. You need to understand and respect the fact that it's somebody else's money if they're working as a guarantor. But if anybody wants to invest in your business, this is a pretty good way to go. Or if you just have a close family member, friend that will do this for you, it's an awesome way to go. Works for startups, no cash flow, no credit requirements. What are those safeguards you spoke about? Well, again, a contract somebody mentioned. Have them sign a contract stating the fact that if they default, they're going to owe you $50,000 and have it signed, have it notarized, have it written by an attorney. Okay, something like that will give you the best safeguard for protection, making sure that you actually are notified if a payment is late. Make sure that the bills go to you first. Make sure that your phone number and your email is the one as the contact on the account. Because if somebody starts to go late, then you'll be notified that they're going late and you'll have a chance to intervene before it gets out of control. You might put a spending cap on there. Okay, so you might get, of the 150 grand, you might only give them access to 20 until they prove themselves, and then you give access to another 20. Any of those type of things are safeguards. Elia, I don't know how to pronounce it, but welcome to Periscope. It's your first day. So what about revenue based on collecting payments? Can that be considered around 30,000? Okay, so I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying, but if the revenue is going through your bank account, it qualifies for revenue lending, period. If the money's being deposited in your bank account, it will work. And I'm going to give you another option here in just a second because that was a great question. I'm going to give you another loan option here in just a second. So far we've dug into 2Cs. And again, in our future scopes, we're going to dissect this more. I'll give you a bunch more detail, which will answer a lot of your questions. Law Depot has all sorts of contracts for personal and business to help safeguard. Yes, Christine is right. And on top of that, you can also go and use Legal Shield. I use Legal Shield for my business and personal. It's like $35 a month to have access to an attorney whenever you need them. They will read contracts. They will write contracts, all those type of things. Is that your personal or business bank account? It's your business bank account, Sandra. So for revenue lending, they're going to look at the deposits in your business bank account. Yes, Legal Shield. You get it, right? I love Legal Shield. They get me out of all kinds of crazy speeding tickets. And my attorney that I use for most of my business stuff stuff came from Legal Shield. Okay, so prepaid legal plans, yes, I do too. So Legal Shield's a great resource for under $40 a month. You get an attorney to do all kinds of things. So you might go get a contract online, modify it, get it to your attorney for review. There's all kinds of safeguards that somebody's going to sign as a guarantor. So we've talked about 2 C's. Cash flow financing, if you have cash flow of $10,000 a month or more, and credit financing if you have good credit or a guarantor that does. Now remember, Legal Shield versus LegalZoom, 2 completely different things. LegalZoom offers like all different kinds of legal services, legal documents, all different types of things, and Legal Shield is basically having access to an attorney whenever you need them, where you pay a monthly fee to do so. So I would look at both. They both have different purposes. I use both, but I use Legal Shield for a lot of just my basic attorney stuff, because they'll write letters, they'll do all kinds of things, which will help you guys quite a bit. So now you've got 2 C's. Do you have cash flow of $10,000 a month or more, and 1 year in business, or do you have good personal credit? Is another question. Or do you have a guarantor that has good personal credit? If you have good credit or a guarantor that does, or cash flow of $10,000 a month or more, then you're going to qualify for one of the C's, which qualifies you for a business loan you can get fairly quickly. So let's talk about the 3rd C. Somebody just mentioned this, and I'm going to dive in. Now before I do, let me point out these 2 things, right? We've got 3 C's. Remember, SBA wanted all 3, cash flow, credit, and collateral. But remember, with cash flow financing, you don't need good credit and you don't need collateral. Remember, with credit-based financing, you don't need cash flow and you don't need collateral. Will they often lend you money if you're? It doesn't matter what entity you are. Any of these will work. And if with collateral-based financing, you don't need good credit and you don't need cash flow. So if you have one of these, you can get approved. You don't need the other 2. That's why it's really the 3 C's of lending. If you have this, cash flow, you don't need this, you don't need this. If you have this, you don't need this, you don't need this. And if you have this, you don't need this, and you don't need this. So the 3rd type of financing is collateral-based financing. And this has to do if you have some kind of collateral. This is where you can get interest rates below 5%, even interest rates as low as 1 or 2%. So do you have a 401k, IRA, stocks, bonds? If so, you can get 100% of what's in your 401k or 90% of what's in your stocks and bonds forwarded to you as a loan. And it's 5% or less. So maybe you have somebody that wants to invest in your business and they have one of these. So even if you don't, now you have 2 options to talk to some other people that maybe want to put money into your business. Maybe they want to invest in your business. Maybe they have good personal credit. Maybe they have stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, etc. If they have one of these 2, hello, welcome. Then they can help you qualify. Or if you have one, you can get approved. Another one, somebody just asked, what about account receivables? What if you have receivables? What if you have another business or the government that owes you money as a part of an agreement or contract? Well, if that's the case, you can get 80% of that money advanced to you within 24 hours. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you mow lawns for a living for commercial businesses. What's up, Russia? Thanks for coming to our scope today. So let's say that you mow lawns for commercial buildings. For commercial, you have commercial tenants. And maybe they only pay you every 2 months. Well, with account receivable financing, they'll give you 80% of the money, the lender will, within 24 hours, where you don't have to wait 2 months. The lender collects from the companies that owe you the money, and then when they collect the money, they pay you 20% difference minus their fee, which is only usually a 1 or 2% fee per month is what they're charging. So for example, if you have $100,000, or let's say $10,000 outstanding, instead of waiting 2 months to get your 10 grand, they'll give you 8 grand pretty quickly within 2 months time, and then, within 24 hours time, and then they collect the 10 grand. When they get the full 10 grand, they give you the 2 grand minus their fee. Collateral with public pension, is that good collateral? A public pension, a pension will not work as collateral. There's no type of financing against a pension. If you had 401k, IRA, stocks, or bonds, it would, but I've never seen financing for a pension. Not saying that it doesn't exist, just saying I've personally never seen that. So that's how account receivable financing. Another kind of financing that's similar is called purchase order financing. So maybe you own a t-shirt manufacturing company, or embroidering company, somebody orders a bunch of shirts, you need to embroider them, you don't have the money to buy the shirts. What you can do then is get 95% financing where the lender will buy the shirts for you. You can then embroider them and fulfill the purchase orders, okay? Because you can only liquefy if you retire. Exactly. Sandra just gave you an explanation on why there's no collateral-based financing against pension. Okay, so inventory financing is another option. Let's say you have inventory on the shelves. Let's say you have a bunch of clothing and you own a clothing store. Let's say you have a bunch of inventory on the shelf. Sandra's super smart. Yes, she is. She's spent a lot of time in the lending space, so she knows what is up. Okay, so then in that case, with inventory financing, you can get a credit line for 50% of the value of your actual inventory. Again, a credit line that's not based on your cash flow or credit. Very hard to find. And you can get inventory financing with a low rate credit line up to 50% of the value of your inventory. Another type of financing is equipment financing, where you can get about 50% against equipment you already own. There's actually about 3 types of equipment financing. One is equipment leasing. If you've been in business 1 to 2 years, you could typically, or more, you could typically get equipment leasing, which is low rate financing against equipment. Maybe you need to buy a piece of equipment, you could get equipment leasing, okay? That being said, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that all about. That's pretty cool. And thank you guys all for the love. So the second way is equipment financing. Even as a startup, you can get equipment financing. So my friend, I told you about her. She got about $80,000 in unsecured financing using a guarantor. She used part of that money to pay her first and last months down so she could buy a piece of equipment she needed. So then instead of you're using her 80 grand to buy equipment, she only used a portion of it, like $5 grand, to pay her down payment, and then she got an equipment loan. Even as a startup, you can get equipment financing. The third type is called equipment sale leaseback. This is where you sell the equipment to the lender and they lease it back to you. So you're basically borrowing against equipment you already own free and clear. Can we use this to get semi-trucks and trailers? Kind of, yes, Christine. Actually, we're testing a new lender right now that does commercial vehicle financing. So you should get with me on that. You should email me. You have my email, obviously, because we've been emailing all day. So let me know, and I can give you some requirements. I'll tell you right now, it's about a 650 credit score is what they're going to want to see. If you email me, I'll tell you what else it is they need. Hey, what's up, Renee? Welcome. Cool, I need that. Well, I'll talk to you about it because I know what you do with horses, so that could definitely help you probably buy more trailers, maybe what you're thinking about. So that being said, you can get commercial vehicle financing. And I'm not saying that's big. There's not a lot of lenders that will use vehicles as collateral. But nowadays, if you have emergency vehicles, tow trucks, those type of things, even 18-wheelers, those type of things can actually be used as collateral, okay? So that type of stuff will work. Nope, truck driving, not horses. Okay, for the trucks, yes. They definitely have financing for big rigs. There's a lot of different options. I could talk to you about that. Email me, or next time we talk, we'll go through it. So inventory, if you have inventory, 401k IRA, do you have account receivables? Do you have purchase orders? Do you have equipment? Do you want to buy equipment? Even as a startup, you can get financing to buy equipment as well, okay? And I'm also going to show you. One is commercial real estate financing. Let's say you own commercial real estate. You can borrow against that, about 65% cash out, or you can get the money you need to buy commercial real estate. I just had a guest on my podcast interview that buys multifamily properties, buys 6,400 unit properties. So he uses commercial real estate financing to do that. That's another kind of collateral-based financing. And another is book of business financing. Whereas an insurance agent, you can get up to 120% of the surrender of your book of business. So let's say you're an insurance agent. This financing is phenomenal, okay? So with book of business financing, you can get the money you need to buy an insurance agency using their existing book of business for anybody interested in doing that. Hopefully it's not freezing. I'll move over here. Sometimes you get better signal over here. And with book of business financing, you can use your existing book of business, and using your existing book of business, you can use that as collateral, borrow against that to get financing as well. So there we are talking Woman of Wealth. That's powerful. That's a powerful Periscope name. I love it. Welcome. So that's another type of collateral that you can actually use. Other people were freezing. I tried to move over here to get you a little bit better reception. What's the commercial vehicle loan you spoke of? Not for trailers, but for luxury cars. Can email you. You can email info@creditsuite.com, but I don't know of any commercial business financing that will work for vehicles. You got to get an auto loan for that. You can get fleet financing for fleet vehicles, and you can qualify using business credit and get auto leasing. You can do that once you build your business credit. You can also get financing for emergency vehicles and tow trucks and for 18-wheel like big rig trucks. All that kind of financing is possible as well. If you have some kind of legitimate collateral, you could typically get approved for some kind of collateral or asset-based financing. So let's take a review of. Here is some of the main types of collateral you can qualify. Do you have a 401k, IRA, stocks or bonds, or know somebody that does? Do you have account receivables from another business or the government? Do you have purchase orders that you need actually money to fulfill? Do you have inventory, like a bunch of clothes on the shelf, or you have a factory of some sort? Do you need to buy equipment? Do you own equipment now? Do you need to buy real estate? Do you have real estate now? Are you an insurance agent? Do you have commercial? Those type of things can qualify you for collateral-based financing. So we're going to dive in our future scopes and talk more about all three, right? Because I could do a whole scope just on collateral-based. I could do a whole scope just on 401k financing. Thank you for the hearts, and thank you guys for the shares. It's awesome of you. But for now, I just wanted to give you a summary. So let's review how you get a loan even when you. 3 C's of lending. Do you have cash flow of $10,000 a month or more and 1 year in business? Do you have good personal credit or a guarantor that does? Do you have some kind of viable collateral? If you have one of these 3, you can typically qualify for a business loan. If you don't, you can typically qualify for business credit like Mark and Christine are both on the scope today. Christine just got a $140,000 Best Buy. Is it the same as a 457 in regard? No, it is not. And Mark, here's another one. He just got approved for a $1,500 Tractor Supply. So if you have any of these, you can get approved quick 2 ways. Schedule a time to meet with us, creditsuite.com/consult, or creditsuite.com/get-funding. Get funding is one word. If you go to creditsuite.com/get funding, you can go through a quick pre-qualifier. We'll call you and tell you all the financing you can get now, or you can schedule time with our team to talk more. You can get now. Just so you know, we won't charge you a fee, not when you get the deal and not when you apply. We never charge you a fee. And we don't work with any lenders that charge upfront fees. So none of it will cost you any money at all. Yes, that's right. Credit Woman of Wealth. Powerful name. Love it. creditsuite.com. So you won't be charged by us when you get the loan or before, and our lenders don't charge up front, and we'll help you with all aspects of securing the loan. So if you do want more information on if you can qualify, go to creditsuite.com/consult. Well, thank you for such an awesome name. I love it. Or creditsuite.com/get funding, and you can immediately qualify there. In our future scopes, we're going to talk more about business loans. I'm going to dive in and dissect all of these. I'm going to talk more about cash flow financing, how fast you can get money, and I'm going to talk more about the type of financing you can get, what's involved. Collateral-based, credit-based financing. We're going to talk more about how this works, how you can get up to $150,000 in unsecured financing, and even more. I'll show you a hack you can do to get even more. And collateral-based financing, if you have some kind of collateral. 3 ways you can get financing. If you don't have any of those 3, then go to creditsuite.com/scope and check out our last scopes on business credit. Because on business credit, you can get that doesn't require any kind of cash flow credit or collateral. As a matter of fact, if you don't have one of these, you're unlendable. Then your best option is to go with business credit. And we've mapped out on our our past scopes how to build business credit. We've even had these people on, Christine and Mark, who give us running tallies of their approvals so far. Mark's up to about $25,000. Christine's now nearing the 150 mark. She's got 148,000. Where can we look at past scopes? creditsuite.com/scope. If you went to creditsuite.com/periscope, you can get a free guide on building business credit. Free guide at creditsuite.com/periscope. creditsuite.com/scope will give you all of our previous scopes. Thanks, Woman of Wealth. You're freaking awesome. Awesome as Woman of Wealth. I should have grabbed that, but it probably wouldn't have sounded right. But still, it's that cool. I wish it would have. So that being said, Now you know how to get business loans. And if you don't have any, don't worry. Then we'll get you business credit. You'll become lendable that way by building a strong business credit profile. If you look at our previous scopes, you'll see we have Christine and Mark where they're being recommended for $30,000, $40,000 or more in funding from their banks because their credit reports are as strong as they are. And who needs it? I mean, Christine's getting, $40,000 at Best Buy was her last approval, $20,000 at Costco. She's getting $15,000 gas cards, $50,000 at Office Depot, fleet cards for $15,000. So that's all possible regardless of whether or not you have cash flow, credit, or collateral. Yeah, wow. If you want to know how she does it, come to our scopes. Okay, this is what happens on our scopes. We have people that come in and have real success and share it with us. We look at their business credit reports. We map out their approvals. We map out the steps. And on top of that, we also, on these scopes, if you go back to creditsuite.com/scope, map out the exact steps to build business credit. If you go to creditsuite.com/periscope, we map out, give you a free guide on how to do this. So in our next scope, we're going to talk more about cash flow financing, probably. We're going to talk more about exactly how this works. We're going to dissect it. We're going to talk about rates. We're going to talk about terms. We're going to talk about approval amounts that you can expect, how much you can expect to get approved for, how fast you can expect to get approved, all those type of things. We're going to decode this whole thing. I'm going to tell you all the stuff that these Facebook ads won't tell you on this stuff, and the lenders won't tell you until you give them your social. I'll tell you all that stuff. I'll even talk to you about what it takes to get approved for business loans before you even apply, so you'll know you meet their requirements. And I'll tell you exactly what it takes to get approved for each one of these kind of financing, so you'll know. You'll know the rates, you'll know the terms, you'll know what it takes to get approved, you'll know it all. And then the next scope will dive into unsecured financing. Same things, rates, terms, fees, all the stuff the lenders won't tell you. It's in the fine print. I'll make sure you know all that stuff. And then we'll also then do probably a few scopes on collateral-based financing because there's so many different products. So hopefully you're able to stick with us the whole time. We started by dissecting SBA loans and talked about how hard it is to get business loans, looked at their actual underwriting requirements, and then we gave you 3 different options to get financing, even if you can't get financing at the big bank. It's not just 3 different options. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 10 different types of loans, and we're going to talk more in our future scopes. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for the love. That's awesome. Thank you for the comments and engaging. That's freaking awesome. And thank you very much for sharing this with everybody. That's like super cool of you. I really appreciate it. And I enjoyed our time together. It means a lot to be able to share this with you. And the reason I do so is because nobody did it for me. This information wasn't out there, and I've had to bootstrap my businesses. And now I know it, and I happen to have the knowledge, and I'm just obsessed with sharing it with anybody that will listen, so you don't have to bootstrap your businesses. So you can build business credit, so you can get financing, so you can get a lot of success. Hey, Wanda, what's up? Have a wonderful works. Hey, welcome. I appreciate you coming on the scope again. Well, thank you, Woman of Wealth. I appreciate you coming on. I haven't seen you on here before, so hopefully you subscribe and follow. I'd love to have you on again. Okay, hey, Miss Jean, welcome back. I thank you all for coming. Thank you all so much for coming for the first time, and thank you all that are on with us and come in every week. I'll be back at 4 o'clock Eastern, Periscope next Wednesday. I'll be back Thursday at 11 Eastern on Facebook Live. And Christine, who's on with us today, we had to redo her webinar. We're redoing it at 12:30 Eastern time on the 4th, which is Wednesday. We're going to map out all of her approvals. We're going to look at her business credit reports. We're going to talk about how she got $148,000 in business credit, regardless of cash flow, credit, collateral. If you want to be invited to that webinar, then go to, our Facebook handle is facebook.com, obviously, /Credit Suite and the number 1. If you go to it's just Credit Suite, I think. I think we're just Credit Suite on Facebook and Credit Suite 1 on Twitter. I'm pretty sure. Try both, but I think we're Credit Suite. And we're going to map all that out. If you want to get on our webinar list, go to creditsuite.com /Periscope. Get a free guide on building business credit. Get on our webinar list, and we'll be doing that live. And I think it'll go live on YouTube as well, Wednesday at 12:30. And Christine says it's Credit Suite at facebook.com /Credit Suite. Thank you all very much. I know how valuable your time is. Hopefully I was able to share some good information. Again, if you do want to get approved and you think you meet this requirements, then go to creditsuite.com /consult. Schedule a time with us. We'll get you pre-approved. We'll start the process. No money out of pocket. We don't charge a fee. And if you want business credit, go to creditsuite.com /Periscope. Everybody should have it. It's going to get you money when you can't get loans, and it's going to get you better loan terms on the loans you do get. Thanks, everybody. awesome today. You've all been amazing. I'm very blessed to have you on. I will see you next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time back here on Periscope. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks.